So it's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. His name is Kevin Dedner. He is the CEO and founder of Henry Health, which is a soon-to-be-launched app that is focused on Black men's mental health, and it is culturally sensitive for their specific needs. So welcome to the stage, Kevin.
Thank you, Catherine. Wow, this is a good-looking crowd. And let me just first thank everyone who's pulled this event together. This is my first time being here, and it's been a real delight to be here over the last 2 days. I am Kevin Dedner, the founder and CEO of Henry Health. 5 years ago, I was working to grow my public health consulting practice. I was doing a lot of thought leadership, program design for clients such as the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. You heard from my former colleague, Steve Downs, yesterday. Steve made a very compelling argument about how fast our world is changing, and yet our bodies are unable to keep up with that change. And that stuck with me throughout the evening as I was reflecting on the day. But 5 years ago, I was really doing a lot of thought leadership, so I lived in a really cerebral frame of mind, thinking, analyzing everything that happened in my life. And it was one Saturday night, I came home and turned on the television and learned of the George Zimmerman verdict. I was upset, and I went to bed thinking nothing of it, and woke up the next day with a terrible headache that lasted for several days. After I got my headache under control, I started to think about the stress associated with being a Black man. I wondered, could being a Black man make me sick? I read through the literature, and I discovered the work of Dr. James Sherman. Dr. Sherman studied cardiovascular health outcomes among Black men. And what his work proved is that the sociological pressures associated with just being a Black man increased poor health outcomes. What became clear to me is that unmanaged stress and untreated mental health issues are silent killers of Black men. It's one of the reasons that Black men have the lowest life expectancy of any population. This has been the case for the last 100 years. I live in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. And in Washington, D.C., the average Black man is expected to live to be 68 years of age, and his white counterpart is expected to live to be 83. Even when you add the controls of higher education, higher income, and even when you remove gun violence, life expectancy does not increase for Black men. You see, stress can be a good thing. It's one of the reasons that many of you woke up early today to exercise. But prolonged stress starts to negatively impact your body, and it makes you susceptible to disease. I submit to you that there is something happening in the day-to-day life experiences of Black men, a weight that we carry that negatively impacts our emotional health and ultimately impacts our physical health and well-being. Dr. Sherman coined the term John Henryism. And many of you probably have heard the story of John Henry. You maybe even watched a cartoon with your children. John Henry is an American folk tale, and John Henry is known for his strength and how strong he was. He worked on a railroad. And when the steam-powered hammer was introduced, John Henry was challenged to a competition with the machine. John Henry beat the machine, but he later died from a heart attack and stress. Now, there's actually a debate about whether or not John Henry really did exist, but it really doesn't matter if he did or if he didn't, because his story is true. It is the story of Black men in America. That's why I joined with my co-founder, Oliver, and founded Henry Health. And what I didn't say, I should have said a few slides ago, is that after I came to this understanding about stress, unmanaged stress, and untreated mental health issues, my life got a little bit out of control, and I fell into a period of depression. And I saw 3 therapists before I could actually find a therapist who understood me. And as I was rebuilding my life is when Oliver reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in doing something in digital health? And that's how Henry Health was formed. At Henry Health, we recognize that Black men are having a unique experience and one size doesn't fit all. We provide daily motivational messages to men, engaging them and building a sense of community. And we help them make better decisions about things like diet and physical activity. Our approach to care is based on what we know works in public health. In addition to providing therapy, we promote a total construct of wellness. The average person is only in therapy for about 6 months. So as people transition out of therapy, our aim is to be there and to support them throughout life, promoting total wellness. The history of health disparities is well documented. One of my favorite intellectual leaders is Dr. Du Bois, and Dr. Du Bois published a work in 1900 where he first made it very clear, looking at insurance data, that there was no difference with us biologically, right? And we've talked about health disparities a great deal since this conference convened. But the good news is there have been some significant policy changes to support digital health and teletherapy. But the most important takeaway that I want to leave with all of you all, and you're aware of it, perhaps someone has already pointed it out and perhaps someone hasn't, but there is a major culture shift taking place in this country right now about how we view mental health. Every day, a celebrity is coming forward, talking about their struggles with anxiety and depression. But listen, awareness isn't enough. The industry needs personalized, accessible treatment for everybody, and there is no time to waste. Most premature deaths are due to chronic illnesses in the later years of life. And if you think about your loved ones who've gone on, it will make sense to you. Chronic illnesses may be presumably postponed by simple lifestyle changes, what we've been talking about the last few days. Lifestyle changes have the potential to move the markers and may modify the age of infirmity. Simply said, if we can help people make better daily decisions, we will improve their quality of life and they will live much longer. A point of privilege I'll just share, not to be political, by the way. The other day I was thinking about Joe Biden running for president. Joe Biden is 76 years old, guys. And then I thought about our current president who will be running for re-election. He's 72 years of age. I know I don't look like it, but I'm from Arkansas. I come from a sturdy stock of men who worked on a farm, chopped cotton, trumped trailers, laid pipes in a rice field, baled hay. And so most of the men that I've known to reach that age, when they got to be that age, they could barely move around, like literally. And so it goes back to this life, the quality of life. And I love this slide because it shows how we really want to help people to live. Essentially we want people to just be living, having a great time, and then they die. As opposed to this brutal failing of health over a long period of time. Our company is still a very, very young company. And much of what I'm talking about is a vision that we're casting. And in addition to being a technology company, as someone with a background in public health, I feel a need to sound an alarm and to raise the awareness about the low life expectancy of Black men. We are a part of Startup Health, which is the world's largest digital health accelerator. And Startup Health jumps to this theme that they call moonshots, literally based on the idea of going to the moon. How crazy of an idea that must have been, right? When people said they were going to the moon. And so we were asked to set a moonshot, and our moonshot is to increase the life expectancy of Black men by 10 years within the next 25 years. And so as you leave and you remember things that I've said and you go back and you design amazing things and do amazing things, I invite you, as even Steve mentioned yesterday, in your work, to think about how you can infuse health and also this notion and this idea of the disparities to help us improve the life expectancy of Black men. I appreciate your attention. You've been a kind audience. Thank you very much.